Hello guys, welcome to Ashley Lancelot Show. We are going to be painting the Mogogol for DND 5. I'm using leaf green paint, putting over the bodies. This was pre-painted. Was not primered at all. So I'm trying experiments with no primer and with primer. So there's no primer. You want to get every flesh as possible as you can. You can be painting over it as well, multiple times for the color for it as well, because it's not primed. It will not stick for the acrylic to the plastic because polar and non-polar form of the paint. You are going to do every nook and cranny because you're going to, this is just basically a base outline for it. So if you get over the white or over your primer, do not worry, you'll be painting over it as such. This video we're going to be doing once a week. Next week pretty much going to be the Phoenix, for that matters fact, and we'll be talking about this creature for next week D&D as well, what it does, where it lives. This is a very good miniature or creatures monster that you want to put for your level 1 or beginning campaign. They live in swamps and water area. They could be different kind of frog like. You can be poisonous red and blue from the Amazon rainforest. We might do one of those as well if you guys request it down in the comments below. And I hope you guys really enjoy this paint that we're doing as well. So far, we're just getting everything, legs, arms, and so forth. In the back with the shells at, you may want to dig right into it due to the fact that, you know, it's going to be covered with white paint for the shells, a little bit pink on the tips as well for that matter. We are using Highland moss for the base, because usually it's a lot easier to differentiate different colors for the base for that as well. We are going to do terrain for this. For right now, we're just going to have a mass amount of miniature first before we do it. You can use any color. You can make it white, gray. Do you want to make it really noticeable with it as well? The next one is Rudy Leather. That's for the backpack, satchel, the wood, everything as well. Remember, everything's going to be black wash, so forth as well. I know I got some of them mixed in with the other green, but do not worry. You will be going over the details over it. This is just a rough patch for to cover all the whites to make sure everything is painted. So wherever you want to use any kind of brown, you can use two types of brown as well. You can make it lighter shade of brown for your shield. You could actually use a smaller paintbrush if you do, and you can actually make it more like an Aztec looking thing on the shield as well, with little yellow red as for that matters fact. The front plate is wood for it as well. I use basic paintings for this type of creature. I'm not very good with smaller miniatures, but with bigger ones I'm really great at with details for that matter of fact. But wherever you want brown in, just put it in. You want to bend the plastic miniatures to get the other side of the shield and so forth as well. You also, if it's a was it pewter, you might have a hard time with bending it. You may have to find a different position for it, or if it comes off, you may have to cut off the arm for that matter of fact, just to get that behind the shield and so forth as well. Yes, you kind of see my finger in. Oh well, I'll do a better camera job, and sorry about that. Should be quick with that, and I can see more for it. You know, it will take two paints for it because I haven't primered it. They know I primered it, so forth as well. But remember, you're just going to go over it finely. You can do it rustically, but towards the end product, you want to use a finer brush. Then go over all the details that you so desired, and that you prefer as well. Like I said, you don't have to use the same color paint I use. I use MSP paint. It's a lot cheaper. Citadel's more expensive. MSD is pretty good. I'm starting using the war paints. War paints are actually a lot more cheaper paints, and I don't really like it as well because the pigments is so diluted. I use it for the eyes, and a matter of fact, but we are going to get some more paint in the long run. So, see all that brown. And you see a little brown underneath the chin of the frog. But that's fine. We're going to go over that, over it. But we're going to try to get as much brown as possible to cover the white cavity of it, as so forth as well. Yes, if you don't guys don't like the voiceover, because I basically do this because I watch The Dark Crystal while doing this, and I finished it and it's very good. If you haven't watched Dark Crystal, I highly suggest it. Netflix has a TV series and the movie, but you don't have to watch one or the other. But the Dark Crystal Resistance is the prequel of the actual Dark Crystal puppets that's been made by Jim Henson, revived, and I'm very so happy to see it. And the next one will be leather white for the white portion of it. The binding, you actually use a lot of the bindings and stuff. I'm gonna paint over that, just give it a little base and shadowing for that matter. A lot of things that you really want to have a little whitish gray tint on it. That's where it's go for it. And also I use this because a lot of the pigments that I use are a lot lighter. So you can actually see through a lot of the darker green and brown from it. So I want to cover it with white so that you will not see. So when you put over like yellow or orange on it, then you can actually see through it. You won't actually see through it and so forth as well. And cover up that dark pigment of green and brown, in that matter of fact. Multiples has been done for this. You want to do the eyes, the shells, bandages, armbands, straps, and so forth as well, so that it will be more pleasing to the eyes and so forth. These creatures are freshwater. I believe some are saltwater, but they're like different types of mutations in the book for it as well. They do have razor sharp teeth. I was very surprised by that because they're frog humanoids, but yep, they have razor sharp teeth. What do you think about that? But you can replace these guys with like kobolds and goblins, because these are they're like murlocs. The other one is orange brown. I use that to cover the straps and the bandages to give them more of that the swampy feel of it that's been stained for so forth as well. And the bracers in the bottom of their foot. And you can always use two-tone color. Like I said, I use basic colors for these for testing out, because I'm getting back into painting miniatures again. But we'll do a lot better job with number 2 of it, with multiple colors. I'm still trying to find my varnish and my primer can spray paint and a lot of my paints as well. But this is something, if you guys really enjoy, want me to make more of, please let me know down in the comments below, and what type of creature miniatures you guys want me to paint as well. But we have a lot more down the road for you guys. Like I said, it's a rough base, so you can see the orange a hell of a lot better. The little straps. You may want to use a finer brush when you look connected. See that front of the shield is kind of, I didn't put too much in it. It kind of blends in with the part of the wood, kind of look like it's dry rotted and so forth as well. These are not really intelligent creatures, and we're going back to Ruddy Brown to basically to do this now. It's going to the final details for everything else as well. That green got over, orange got over, or the whites that has been going over as well, and make it more presentable and pretty as well. But speed painting, it's quite new to me. Ashley does it a lot. She actually does some of the dragons. She's still new to miniature painting. I've been painting miniatures for over 20 years. I do not like using oil paint for it as well. I used emerald green for this to go over little spots of the frog, because a lot of times frogs have warts or spots, so let that give that glimmer and shimmer of two-tone colors as well, just letting you know. And I use also leafy green and going back and forth with it, so that it has more of a definition tone of what kind of frog it will be. The next frog was going to be one of the Amazons for it. I had to find a finer tip and brush along the way, but you should know that I'm covering all the little whites that's been left over, all the brown that's been basically went over, orange as well. This is when you want to use a finer tip brush for it. And basically, remember, if you kind of screw it up, you can wipe it up with a paper towel, or you can paint over it with the other color as well to match it as well. Make sure you let these dry every time with 2-3 minutes rotation use a piece of paper towel to make sure that, it is basically dried. You do not want to paint over wet acrylic paint because they're water based and you will have mixed colors and it will look very weird. Now back to leather white. To go over the white again. Now this is the war paint. This is bay blonde for the eyes. They have yellow eyes in the D&D 5e book for it. You might want to do 2 or 3 more of it because the yellow is very, very what you call it, translucent. The pink is the brains pink from the MSP. That's for the tips of the shells. A lot of times the shells have different colors as well. So we are using pink on the tips of the shell to give it that little contrast for it. And I'm going back with the green to make sure that pink doesn't go over it. This is pure black MSP for the eyes, and we will be using that for the wash as well. You want to find a very, very fine for it as well. It's basically like a goat's eye. You want a line and a little pupil in it. Kind of messed up right there. That's why I use a paper towel to wipe it off. And just, take your time. Take your time. And sometimes you just kind of paint it white again and use little red for it. Now this is the wash, give it the final details and everything else as well. I did not find my varnish, but if you don't want your miniatures to get paint, have more details for it, have a can of varnish. Usually Citadel is the best and they're cheap. I believe $12 a big can, spray can for it as well. I did about 3 washes on this at total, and it gives that details and that lack and that that white and everything as well. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe, like, and share.